Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Reveal Report. I'm your host, George Heisman, alongside Miss Jessie Czebotar for an amazing show. I'm pretty excited about this, Jessie, because we're going to get into something.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Krampus. Now, it says the occult history of Santa Claus. However, that was a misspell. It's actually the occult history of Christmas. And we talk about the old guard, where it comes from, Krampus and its story. So not really Santa Claus, because we touched on that. So that'll be updated. I want to thank you guys all for joining us. Let me get some things out of the way first. Guys, first and foremost, PayPal still not working. I do apologize for any inconvenience. It's actually hurting me. A few of you are very, very good to me and try to send me something to keep this show here on YouTube. And we've been having some difficulties with YouTube. This is going on week 2. It's hurt me financially. It's hindered me a lot because I depend on these things to help me, especially through the holiday season. Don't make a lot as it is. So it definitely hurts. And I want to thank those who used to send something. Unfortunately, we're trying to figure out what's going on with PayPal. And hopefully next week that's settled. If not, I'll be looking at something new. And hopefully that can help some people who want to keep helping the broadcast stay here on Monday. On that note, because PayPal has been a disaster, we had a show we were going to do called Hitler's Occult Obsession. Did it with Tony McMahon, an amazing show. Jessie was there. We touched on a few things, told some stories that I don't think we've ever talked about on the show. An amazing show. However, we are not going to upload it here on YouTube. That is exclusive to Patreon. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, congratulations. You're getting more content for being a subscriber on every single tier. You'll receive this show coming up this weekend. Once again, the occult obsession of Hitler, the Third Reich, Himmler. We get into that very, very deep, what he was after, why, and stories with Tony McMahon. And that's going to be up this weekend on Patreon because we just can't upload it to YouTube. It's just not working out for me. I don't know what's happening. But anyways, guys, for those who want to join, click the link underneath. And we thank you for being here. Final reminder, some people are saying they don't get a notification. You have to touch the bell. When you see the bell icon, guys, you have to click on the bell icon in order for you to get notified on your phone, on your TV, and on your device. So please ring that bell when you want to be notified on the upcoming show when it starts. And that's it for now. Okay, guys, enough yippee yapping. Let's add Miss Jessie. Jessie, what's happening? Talk to me. What's going on? Krampus, it's Christmas. People want to know, are you ready for this?
I am ready for this, I think, as most as I can be.
Okay.
But, you know, it's a good, deep discussion. When you start to get into, you know, the dark Santa, dark Christmas, I think there's a lot that people aren't aware of. We all want to believe it's just filled with our holiday traditions. And, you know, many of us have very fond memories of Christmas as being a small child. We participate in different traditions, which could include, you know, going out, selecting the tree, collecting the tree, putting wood on the fire. You know, it could be preparing certain meals, decorating the tree, but we don't understand what all goes behind that. You know, even the receiving of gifts, we don't really understand the occultic side of what goes behind that.
Well, tonight we're going to get into it. It's a Christmas special report, Krampus, the occult history of Christmas. We're going to get into it right now. We're going to begin with a video, Jessie. Why did we pick this topic and this particular show? Well, it's gone viral. It's on Instagram. It's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. People are interested, and it's starting to become very popular, especially in North America. So I'm going to play a quick video to touch a bit on the dark history and Krampus, and then we'll dive even deeper. So turn up your volumes and take a look as we start off with this video clip.
Every December, as twinkling lights and holiday markets transform towns across Austria, the Alpine streets prepare for a visitor far darker than jolly old Saint Nick. With horns curling up from a mangled, furry face and bloodshot eyes that glare from behind a grotesque wooden mask, the figure of Krampus prowls through snow-covered villages, terrifying onlookers young and old alike. Far from the joyful spirit of Santa Claus, Krampus embodies the eerie, ancient reminder that not all of the holiday season's figures bring warmth and cheer. This is Krampusnacht, an age-old tradition dating back hundreds of years in the central and eastern Alpine regions. And while Krampus, Europe's half-goat, half-demon monster who punishes naughty children, has always been well known to Austrians, Germans, and others in the Alps, he has recently gained a new following beyond Europe. This holiday terror has been introduced to the United States, and it's proving he can frighten, fascinate, and thrill Americans just as easily as his European audience. But what's behind this dark twist on the holiday season? Why has Krampus's legacy endured in some places and been stamped out in others, only to re-emerge with a vengeance?
All right, that's a quick introduction. It gets into it. So Jessie, let me hand over the reins to you. Tell us a little bit about Krampus.
Yeah. So Krampusnacht, that word being not being night in the German language, is a common, it's not just a folklore. This is a real entity that is, he has his own night, usually December 5th. Parents are going to use this entity to terrorize, to, get children to be obedient. And that's the interesting thing about this, is that it's not just about getting your children to be good. That good is never really fully defined as anything other than complete obedience to whoever the adults in your life are, who and what they're telling you to do. So really, this is something that is used by, we'll say, the brotherhood system, and you get different stories that are going to go out terrifying children. Anything that you do that's not obedient is considered naughty, and a list starts to occur throughout the year. And this list is going to be applied during the pagan winter solstice tradition times, where they're going to gather, and you will have individuals in different towns that will dress up in as this Krampus. The hairy, the horns, the cloven hoofs, the fangs, sometimes the long tongue. You may have people who are going to carry tools like certain sticks or chains that rattle. Sometimes they say, that you're going to get different folklores that kind of intertwine with this story of Krampus. And he even comes with buddies, George. They have a whole list of different characters that are going to be connected to him. Some of those can be Knecht Ruprecht, which is a German companion, often depicted as a dark-clothed, dirty man who asks children if they can pray.
Wow.
And those who cannot are beaten, while those who do pray receive gifts. I mean, imagine that on a terrifying night, and you have a shadow figure asking you if you can pray. Then you have Pere, we'll call him the Father Whipper, Futard, who's a French and Belgian folklore that goes along with it, known to punish children. And you also have Black Pete, which is in the Dutch versions, where, he's going to wear a dark makeup, and he's going to be seen as a devil figure that is enslaved by Nicholas or Saint Nick, as well as a chimney sweep at times. And the terrorizing begins, where children, there's a mixture of good things. You're going to see all these tantalizing things being set out, apples, oranges, all sorts of types of candies, good things to eat. Children are going to be excited, but at the end of the day, there's a fear, because the children really don't know until after midnight if they've been considered naughty or nice. So there's always the fear, in some of these cultures, if you've been considered naughty, what does it mean? It means that you're going to be brought into age-old customs around Krampus, which are not just about terrorizing, but you get where there's going to be different forms of occultic abuse involved with these theories behind Krampus and Krampus not.
Incredible. Great explanation. I shared some pictures, Jess, while you were discussing
Yeah.
of its imagery. These goat-headed figures, demon faces, long tongues, certain things that we've discussed with the long tongue and demon faces and so forth. All that packed in. I think we should begin maybe with the season and the time frame, which is winter solstice. A powerful time, you mentioned a date, where the pagans and the druids, going back hundreds of years, would conduct magic rituals. This is a powerful time, Jesse. And I want to add that during this time, because of what it is, it usually lowers people's energy level. It says that it heightens, it actually lowers it. People become depressed, sad, it lowers the vibe. And so this is a great way that these practitioners get to use your loosh, your energy, to manifest their upcoming desires. Very important. The winter solstice is a time for magic. So let's begin that. Maybe tell us a little bit about winter solstice and how a lot of different cults and groups conduct and perform rituals on that season.
Yeah, for winter solstice, it is very highly connected to winter magic, and you get that type of season where what they're going to consider the magical veil between dimensions is thinner. In that, you're going to have different magic spectrums. The yellow light spectrum is what they consider for day. The blue light spectrum is what they consider for night. So that gives you some clues as to the type of magic. While the day is used, for fire magic and sun magic, you're going to have the blue light spectrum used for your moon magic and your water magic. So there's a distinct connection with that. When we look at scripture, we know God distinguished, the lights and the authorities with that. The day he gave the authority for the sun to rule over the day, and you have the authority for the moon to be a ruler over the night. So all of that's going to be incorporated into different things that they're going to worship, different rituals they're going to have. One of the biggest rituals that they're preparing for the month of December is going to lead up to December 21st, 22nd, which they consider the high winter solstice ritual. And that one is going to be called Saturnalia. And, for them, Saturn represents Satan. It's
Yes.
the highest night that they're going to worship Lucifer or Satan, as well as Jupiter, which is a pre-type of the Antichrist or the lawless one who will give his power and authority over to Satan.
Wow. Again, it's a lot to unpack there, Jesse, and I'm glad that we're getting into it, because again,
Yep.
it is important. The time frame and what you said in the Saturn. Now, this is a whole rabbit hole that we could go into. We're not going to go into that specific one tonight, because I think we could tap into the winter solstice and the meaning behind it when it comes to the worship of Saturn. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there is a worship of Saturn. Maybe if you want to touch on it briefly, but we'll save it and we'll do a big unpacking with videos and so forth on another day. Just touch briefly on how they use the stars and the moons and the planetary system to pick their seasons and their rituals.
Yeah, you get all of that in the highest levels of the occult, which are going to be, you've got your Order of Melchizedek, your Order of the Golden Dawn, your Order of the Phoenix, and their worship is going to revolve around the entities that they worship. That revolution is going to connect to the calendars, to times, to seasons. That also connects to astrology. So they're always looking, at the stars. What's the time? What's the season? Who has the authority in this season? And those are the lowercase g gods that they're going to be calling on. What are they calling on them for? Well, what is winter time? It's a time, it's a period of rest that you have agriculturally before, the spring, where things start to blooms, you're going to plant your seeds, you're going to start to grow things. So without that preparatory time, you cannot get good harvest. There has to be that time of the rest before you can begin the planting, the sowing, all of that. That's the way God designed it. So it's interesting when you get into this further that, one of the main reasons behind all of their worship and their Shabbats is that, they want to make contracts and treaties with entities that are going to be, have certain seasons where they have authority. And what they're bargaining for is, for, in another way to put it, the blessing of the crops. Rather than turning to God for that blessing, they believe that, the different occultic things that they do is going to lead to a good harvest.
Yeah. Incredible. So we've touched on the season, the time period, and so forth. There's a lot of, pagan gods, and paganism was very popular back then. And in that Nordic time, they would do these things. Now, interesting story, guys. This is a little bit, some say, of course, this is folklore that I'm just rehashing here. This is somewhat like Halloween. And they say that there was a lot of ancient rituals and magic, and there were entities and demonic forces around this time. So people would dress up as demons in order to scare away others that were evil, or the evil would see them, assume they were evil as well, and leave them alone. So that was a folklore that went around with this this type of thing, and why people dressed up in such a way. Again, referring back to Halloween and the old Halloween story, how people would put jack-o'-lanterns on front and wear scary costumes. One was to scare away the demons that were coming around in the evening. Same sort of thing with Krampus. They would dress up like demons, and they would try to scare away any evil entities that were coming, because they felt that the entities would think that they were one of them, or it was too scary and they would move on. But that is the quick tidbit of the folklore on that. There are movies being made about this, Jessie. There are cartoons, there are comic books. It's become very popular. Parades all over the world for Krampus. So this I find interesting. The lengths and the extreme heights they go to do these parades. I have a clip I'd like to share with you and everyone watching of a parade. Just Krampus. It's crazy. Take a look at this. So Krampus has got parades. People are dressing in uniforms, costumes. I wouldn't say uniforms, but costumes, ugly and scary, and they're scaring kids. On that note, let's get into it. I find this to be disturbing in some way. These are the classic pictures that I shared earlier. You'll see here, he's depicted all black with a red tongue. He's holding things. He's standing behind the child. He's picking up the child to put him in a basket, where the basket would be carried on his back, and he would take the child away. There's another picture on the right of him in a vehicle, where he's had a child in the basket taking away. Now, Jessie, from what you've studied and what you learned, there's an obsession here with fear and
Mhm.
putting fear into children? Or is there more to that fear? Is there something
Yeah.
else underlined that they're trying to tell us? What are your thoughts, and what do you think?
Yeah, there is so much more to it when we start to break down the characteristics of the entities. There are some very things, across the cultures that are going to kind of align with how the system works around ritual times. Um, Within that system, you always have two assets. You have the hierarchy children, those that they're going to be raising up, training to keep the system going and to do the evil that they do. The hierarchy children are the ones that they're going to train to make the contracts with these entities. Now, the others are going to be the children that they're going to offer as sacrifices, as slaves to the entities. So we see that even in the Krampus symbology, and you get some telltale things. Often he's seen with the hoofs as well as certain horns. Now, the horns are what's most interesting because in the system's way of classification, they classify their altars in connection to the entities that they worship,
Hmm.
sometimes by the entity's horns. Or you'll get certain demonic generals that they're going to put entities under. So the horns that we see for Krampus often connect back to those that are kind of more your straight horned, up through the top of the head type entities. You're going to have your gods like Pan. You're going to have your gods like Beelzebub. We also see the tongue coming out of the mouth and remaining out. That's known as the tongue of rebellion, and often seen in depictions of Beelzebub, which would
Yes.
be seen as more of like a demonic general in connection to Pan. When you look at the stories of these entities, Pan was one who was notorious through different cultures for stealing children, for, playing music and drawing them away. But with Krampus, you don't get a nice serenade. He's going to have a list. If
Hmm.
you're on that list, he's going to come and take you. Now, they never say what fully happens to the children after they're taken. Are they returned? What happens? Is this a way that they're hiding nefarious things in communities that celebrate Krampus, nefarious things that they're doing to children? I think it is.
Now, on this picture, you see the children are tied up in chains.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
And
that.
being led away.
And being led away.
Yeah,
The symbolism, Jesse, is incredible, is it not?
it is. Yeah.
It's spooky. Yes, they're scaring children, but I always think, is there something underlined into it? Because they might be telling us something. Because we've learned, Jesse, you've deprogrammed yourself when you get into this stuff. So nothing is what it seems. Nothing is what they tell you it is it? It's never that.
Right. It's something else. There's always more to the story.
There's always something else, Jess, and it's unfortunate. So we're looking into it, and there we are. We're seeing children being taken away, enchained, and it's pretty grim, isn't it? It's pretty scary. I want to touch on really briefly. You were talking about the tongue, and you see these pictures of the tongue, and I want to get into a little bit more about that and how they implement and the meaning of the tongue. You see it in demons all the time with the
Hmm.
tongue, what it means, and there's many celebrities in Hollywood who like to flash their tongue out with
Yeah.
this type of thing with their teeth. We see Miley Cyrus in the past. Not that I'm saying she's trying to emulate a demon, but this is a thing, and I believe they say that you maybe shouldn't do this. But let's touch on that really briefly on how these people are implementing this type of gesture with the tongue and what it represents and what it stands for.
Yeah. Some of the things that it represents and stand for is the rebellion against God, those that are rising up in pride, those who are, going to engage in acts of rebellion or blasphemy. Usually that blasphemy is going to be against God or the Holy Spirit. And when we think about the time in the season, if this time in season is supposed to represent the birth of Christ, that was a time when, we're told in scripture the angels are rejoicing, they know the Messiah's come. And yet now you've got these creatures that are sticking out their tongues, that are going to defy God and defy any form of authority. And, the curious thing is, if it's not good to be naughty, why do these creatures get to be naughty?
Yes.
It kind of doesn't make sense, but it's all part of the equilibrium within the system. Santa Claus is going to represent that which is good, that which is kind, that which is benevolent, while Krampus is going to represent, the complete opposite, which makes up its own rules, that which gets to do whatever it wants to the children that are naughty, and they aren't even going to know what to expect. There's just terror and fear there because they don't know what's going to happen to them. And the truth is, the fear goes along lines of you don't know if you're going to live or die. You don't know if something tragic's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to get to see your family again. So it would make Christmas a very terrifying time.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Jesse. And there is an Indian god that we know of, Hindu, and this deity has the tongue. It's what I've always studied, and it's depicted in its statue. In fact, it's in one of our very interesting locations. There's a picture of this demon, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but it escapes me. But it's at CERN, and this demon.
Vishnu. No, let me think. Shiva.
Shiva, yeah, and so Shiva is one that always has the tongue of war, the tongue of lash. Jess, you there?
I am. You froze.
That was wild. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get into touch on that for a moment, please.
Yeah, so you have a spirit that's going to be part of the Hindi culture. It's also believed that there's some crosses or cross references that Shiva also represents. Isis, the divine feminine, that would go along the lines of Ashtaroth, Lilith, any female entity god, and you see that split tongue of duality that is going to go along with some of your spirits that can be more or both serpentine, dragon-like. So that's how I would kind of describe that. And those that have a duality about them.
Yeah, it's I was trying to bring, I had a few, and sometimes the files ain't uploading. I'm having some wild things going on with my podcast today. It's crazy, almost like they don't want us to talk about some of these things. But the tongue is key because, again, that's related to Krampus, the Nordic, the winter period, the magic that's conducted, its undertones of children and scaring children, and always around the winter solstice, Christmas, which is a segue into Christmas. Christmas. They say it's Christ's Mass.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've touched on this a while ago, a few years ago, but I thought we'd rehash it and bring it back and just update it. And I'd hate to say it, but Jesus was not born on December 24th. That was not the date that he was born. No, it wasn't. Where did Christmas come from? We're going to get into that briefly here. And I'm going to show you a picture of something because it's something we always think about. And then we're going to break it down for you a little bit. So here it is. This is what we're known for Christmas. We get together. There's a log for the Yuletide Carol. The log is placed in the fire. Yes. We have a Christmas tree with presents underneath, gifts. So this beautiful tree with gifts and the log and the fire, and this is what people get around to celebrate. And we celebrate this on December 24th, 25th, Christmas. It's a wonderful time, right, Jesse? But what its true
Right.
meaning, I've talked about it. I got a video I'm going to play, and then we'll just break it down for everybody a little bit more. So I want everyone to take a listen. It's only a minute or so, and we'll break it down. Here's what you're really celebrating on Christmas.
Christmas, as we know it today, didn't begin in a stable in Bethlehem, but in a kingdom of rebellion led by a tyrant named Nimrod, a figure whose shadow looms over history, myths, and religions alike. Long before Christ, Nimrod, a powerful and ruthless ruler, defied God and established what would become humanity's first organized rebellion against divine authority. According to legend, after his untimely death, his mother, Semiramis, claimed that an evergreen tree miraculously grew overnight from a dead stump, symbolizing the rebirth of Nimrod as a god. And every year, on December 25th, the anniversary of his birth, gifts were placed beneath this tree in his honor. Sound familiar? This wasn't the spirit of joy and peace. It was the spirit of revelry, indulgence, and even blood sacrifices, practices that predate Christianity by centuries. According to historian Alexander Hyslop, the Yule log symbolizes the death of Nimrod, while the Christmas tree represents his resurrection as a sun god, a practice deeply rooted in ancient paganism.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Christmas, as you know, it wasn't a date they just chose, they just picked out of the blue. The log placed in the fire is the death of Nimrod. And the evergreen tree represents the rebirth. The rebirth. And the presents placed around the bottom of the tree were the gifts given to Nimrod. So we're celebrating Nimrod, the sun god, who worshipped the planetary systems in Ra. He's the one. And in fact, Jesse, interesting, and I've touched on this before, let's talk just a touch on the bloodline. You see, Nimrod was the son of Cush. And according to the Bible, the oldest son of Ham was Cush, the grandson of Noah. So Cush was Nimrod's father. And that's the son of Ham, who was an interesting story. We talked about Ham in the Bible and what happened with Ham and Noah. We won't get into that today because that was a little deep. But it's important that people understand that bloodline. It goes back to Noah. So people are worshiping Nimrod. Nimrod, powerful, mighty, strong warrior. What does the Bible say about him? I mean, right here, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherever it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Genesis 10:9. Nimrod is discussed all over the Bible. Yeah. So Jesse, the basic quick summary of Christmas is the celebration of Nimrod. He was the first to start a new world order. He was trying to create this Tower of Babel in Babylon, as you know, and he was almighty and powerful and a hunter. And in fact, sickening, he married his mother. Yes,
right?
That's the story.
He did.
He married his mother. Please continue, please.
I mean, it gets so much more interesting than that, and not that we're elevating any of this, but it's important to understand the concepts that they're pulling in. At the end of the day, these individuals believe they are gods. They take things that are of God or of Scripture, and they're going to magnify those things. So when you get into the whole Yule, Scripture talks about the branch. It talks about, this concept of the begotten Son, And it's important to understand that that word begotten, when you get into the depth of the Hebrew, it literally means of the same essence. But it's not a mistake, he's not replicating or foretelling of the cross here. When they take this imagery, what are they doing? They're taking concepts of God. They're
Yep.
taking that branch, which is going to be from the very essence of a dead tree that they've cut down, and what is that going to go to when they put it in the fire? It's going to go to their beliefs,
Yeah.
particularly in regard to their worship of tree spirits and in connection with the golden bough. Now, when you understand the golden bough really gets into their imagery of 5 different ages, the golden age being one of those, where in fact, Ceres or Father Time is going to Chronos is going to rise up and have rule again. So that's where they get into the resurrection, the adorning of the tree, and the belief that Nimrod will be raised from the dead. That's going to get into their messianic beliefs, and, at the end of the day, these people go back to the Sanhedrin, who
Mhm.
refuse to receive Jesus Christ as their Messiah. They don't believe he fit the bill, even though he fulfilled all 250 prophecies of the Messiah. They're still waiting for their Messiah, and their Messiah is going to come through this imagery that is in connection to the Yule and to the king, of Babylon and Nimrod.
Yeah. Incredible, Jesse. Again, whenever you think you have all the answers, right? There's always a story behind.
Right, there's always more.
Let's get into now that it's Christmas season, Jesse. So this is important. It's Christmas season. And now we know the truth of what is actually being celebrated and how they harness our energy during this time. It's winter solstice. So they use magic to manifest, and they capitalize off people's sadness and tough times and so forth. So not everyone's happy. And when they try to be happy, they'll try to use that energy. We know all this. It's put out there.
Yeah.
So people are going to ask myself and you, what are your thoughts and opinion of Christmas? Can we still celebrate? Can we still give gifts? What is your feeling on all this, Jesse, and your thoughts about this? Because this is a question that's keep popping up. Can we still celebrate Christmas in our own way? Can we still give gifts and spend time with our families? So I'm going to let you answer first. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. What I always encourage people to do is to pray and ask the Lord. Many of us have grown up with Christmas being a time of good things, of family traditions, of togetherness. I'm confident that the Lord can lead us in this decision. So again, I encourage people to ask the Lord. If you feel like the Lord is telling you that that's fine, then make it a time where, He knows the intentions of our heart. Make it a time where you're sharing the gospel. There's a lot of people who, believe things that are not true. They're not in Christmas for hearing about the gospel or hearing about the birth of Jesus. So that's something that we can do to share. Christmas has been a season where it's one of the greatest evangelistic seasons that we can have, but maybe it's finding a new way to, give the fullness of the truth, to show, what should be done and what should not be done. At the same time,
Mhm.
if you're the type that you feel the Lord saying no, that you need to abstain, you need to have nothing to do with it, well, then do that. Um, I think only the Lord can give each of us the answer in that.
Yeah, wonderful. I
Yeah.
like the feedback, and I'll be honest, guys. Now that I know, and I knew for a while, you have to take that energy and use it in a positive way. I don't think there's something wrong spending time with friends and family. I think that's
Right.
important for all of us. If there's a period of time where you've made, just know that the energy goes towards, the friends and the family to come closer. I don't think Christmas is a time to be negative. I don't think it's a time to be sad. If you are, then you need to find something to do that make you happy and not put out the negative energy, which they use for rituals and magic. That's just fact. It's a great time to do it because the winter solstice, and again, it's based on planetary systems and the worship of Saturn. So I'm just saying, guys, try and be positive. Speak to the Lord and ask him what he thinks on what you should do. But stay positive either way. And if there's a present you want to give, then give it. But know that we've said to you what the meaning of Christmas really is, where it comes from, and it's history. So now you know. Do with it as you will. Following this, we're going to be doing an after show, a Q&A, giving everyone an opportunity to ask questions to Jessie or myself in regards to Krampus, Santa Claus, the holiday season, and other topics we're going to touch on. So feel free to join. The description and the link is down below. Jessie, as we sign off, Christmas in a few days, anything you'd like to say for everybody watching, or how they can support your ministry?
Yeah, first off, I want to just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I want to thank all those who have been supporting us, all of you who come and join us every week to watch our shows. You truly are an amazing community here, as well as, you all are family to us. So I just want to wish you all a happy holidays. If you are looking for gift ideas or last minute things, I do encourage you to check out my website, kingdomlivingwithjessie.com. On there, you'll find my courses, my books, my workshops, as well as different coachings that I do about the system. I also want to encourage you to check out some of the new opportunities that I have available. You can find me on patreon.com, and you'll find some of those exclusive opportunities on there. And then also I've been using Pinterest as a new marketing tool. So you can find Kingdom Living with Jessie TV there on Pinterest, and I encourage you to find that. And then you'll also find some new shows that I'm putting out on my personal YouTube, which is going to be at Jessie Czebotar, and I think it's 4619 are the numbers they put behind there. But you'll find those on my personal YouTube, as well as you can find my weekly shows that I put out on Kingdom Living TV, which is my other YouTube channel.
Thanks, Jessie. For myself, guys, I want to show you, or say at least that I appreciate all the love and support. We're climbing again, all natural. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Telegram. And join Patreon, guys, to get exclusive shows. This weekend, I'm going to upload the show, The Obsession of Hitler with the Occult. Guest Tony McMahon, author, amazing. He tells some stories. And guys, also we have some more content, some very rare, hard to find videos on these type of conversations, the esoteric, the cult, the supernatural, all exclusive to Patreon. I hope that PayPal settles up, fixes things, and gets good with me so that we could get back onto creating more content for YouTube, so I don't have to leave YouTube and be exclusive to Patreon. I want to thank you guys all for being here, and I'm wishing you all a very happy holidays and Merry Christmas on behalf of Jessie and myself. I want to thank you all for watching. Have a lovely weekend. God bless. Good night, everyone.